Whoa!
Welcome to the What's Our Verdict podcast, where we fashion ourselves cinematic judge and jury. My name is JJ Crowder. I'm here with my co-hosts Mattson
Better red than dead.
and Alec Burgess.
Let's get it.
We appreciate you tuning in. Go ahead and hit that follow, subscribe, like button, the bell notification so you get notifications on all of our episodes. Tell a friend about us. Help us grow the podcast because we appreciate it. We are here to review the movie Braveheart. It was released May 24th, 1995. It was written by Randall Wallace, and it was directed by Mel Gibson. It stars Mel Gibson, Sophie Marceau, Patrick McGowan, Angus McFadden, James Robinson, James Cosmo, Brian Cox, Barry McGovern, sorry. And yeah, there's this.
What about Brendan Gleeson?
Whoa.
Did
Easy
you
turbo.
miss Brendan Gleeson?
I mean, I'll say Brendan Gleeson. I didn't miss Brendan Gleeson, but I just got lectured about my long ass script, like cast lists.
He's like the best friend.
Well, I also didn't talk about. I didn't mention. Now my brain just
David
locked
O'Hara.
up 'cause
I
you're
don't
driving
really
All
me
right,
nuts.
what are
Even
we
the
doing
Irish.
to my? Just stop. Let me the squabbling children. Let me let the common folk know this movie comes recommended by yours truly, aka the Real Ginge, aka Better Red Than Dead, Braveheart. Come on, people! What a movie! JJ's gonna try and crap all over this. He's probably gonna be accomplice by Alec, the boring one. This movie, while very long, I will fully admit there's things that could be chopped, nipped, sucked out. But man, you can't replace a man on a mission, a man whose heart is broken, a man whose country has just been shit on by England for years. Come on, William Wallace. And this movie claims to be based on a true story. I'll tell you right now, there ain't a whole lot of truth there, but it's damn good. The
boring one?
I'm
the boring one?
The Queen of France does not exist. There is not a romantic love story. I don't know if people could make love back then because y'all were stinky. But they found a way. People still live. But my goodness, this movie has one of my favorite scenes in all of cinema that we will get to. But this movie starts off with some of the best opening music and landscape scenes in cinema. JJ, you can take away that this movie is too long, that this movie may not make a whole lot of sense at times, but this movie is damn entertaining, and it involves a lot of rocks, swords, blue face paint, and yelling. And it's compelling.
I'm trying to figure out where the fuck I gave the impression that I have a hard time with this movie. This is like one of my favorite movies of all time. Like,
oh, I thought you were going to hate this movie.
No, like I love Braveheart. I think it's some of the best movie music ever written. I mean, it's long, but it's entertaining. I think I'm with you. I think there's some parts, especially now that I watch it as an older gentleman, that could be cut that aren't necessary. And like you said, the history is wildly inaccurate, but it's worth watching. Like I don't know why you would think I didn't I love this movie. Like, it's got some of the best one-liners, and this is how I learned to use my terrible Scottish accent, was watching this movie over and over as a kid.
Look, Mel Gibson has a lot of problems in this world, but there is a small span of his life. He took magic and he put it in a bottle. And this man, between the Patriot, between Braveheart, I'm genuinely, when someone can act that good at being like upset and kind of angry and like off kilter, part of that's real, or at least is the way that I believe it. And Mel Gibson, I'm sorry for the real people in your life, but damn, thank you for bringing it to a movie, because you can play a crazy Scot like you were born in that country.
Oh yeah,
what
he
a
plays
movie.
crazy well, but that's because it's partially real. I will poo-poo you on the Patriot, because that movie blows ass, but maybe that's why you thought I would hate this one, but no, this one was great. The Patriot sucked. Yeah, but no, I love this movie. I think it's fantastic. I was really glad to watch it. Now, with all that said, Mel Gibson's Scottish accent gets worse every time I watch this movie. So that is one, like, it's terrible.
I'm willing to overlook it, but yes, it's not the greatest.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad, especially when he's surrounded by a bunch of actual Scottish actors that you can compare it to all throughout the movie. So, but yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoy this movie.
William Wallace's uncle, though, some of the best advice you can ever give someone when they're growing up. He's going to teach you to learn, use this, which he points to the brain, before you use that, which is the sword. Let that just be a model for life.
It's true. That is true. If more of us, well, I say more.
And then
more
you
of
go
us
from
thought,
that
but
to also this movie recommends that you should always moon Englishmen, which sounds like sound advice.
oh shit. Hey, I have to say that I have a relative, like an ancestor that's portrayed in this movie. So you might be a redhead, Mattson, but I am descendant of Scottish royalty, bitch. That's right. I am directly descendant from Robert the Bruce.
That's
nice.
cool
Yeah.
and not cool, because he was not cool and then cool.
He was
But,
always cool.
I was gonna say,
That's where
only
your
in this
historical
movie.
inaccuracy comes in.
Yeah, only in this movie.
Robert the Bruce was a straight badass. That's why they called him the Bruce.
Yeah.
I know. Just in this movie, they made him look like a little punk ass bitch for a second, but
Yeah, that's this movie. He was from the Bruce, the Bruce, but he was the first one of 17 that they called the Bruce. Like, this is the guy. Yeah, he was badass. Yeah, my mom's huge into genealogy, and so I've known for a very long time that I descended from him. So
like this movie, well, I think one of the things I like about the most is this movie has personality. But I mean, you'd go down the list from William Wallace to King Edward to the uncle to Robert the Bruce to his dad. To, I mean, we haven't talked about Hamish and Morrison, who is played by Tommy Flanagan. I mean, there's so many people that just bring it. And for me personally, like King Edward, what a G! Just that dude does not care. He's like, I'm gonna push my son's advisor out the window, and you know what's gonna happen? Absolutely nothing. That scene, when I first saw it, I was like, wow, this man has no chill.
that's fair. Yeah, it's pretty brutal, which is historically accurate. King Edward I was a dick.
But you could get away with all that and more. You think about it, like I've read
Sure.
stuff like, what are they gonna do? Nothing.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially at the time, like, yeah, that dude would throw. He didn't care. Like, he just did not care. So, all he wanted was power and to grow his kingdom. And yeah, he was a dick for sure. So
There's just so much about, like, this movie has one of the best memes out there. Whenever you're trying to help your friends hang on, persevere, just get through something. Hold. I love that speech when he's going up and down the line and just pumping up his troops. And I mean, oh man, it just, and the freedom chant, like, my goodness, William Wallace, Mel Gibson definitely stirs emotions in me. And I've seen this movie. I think it's a movie I've actually seen the most in my life, which is saying something because I don't really watch a ton of movies. Just the speeches and the delivery and the emotions. I mean, when you get to the end, when he's being stretched out like Gumby, like, oh, you just feel it. You feel for him. And I think that part was actually somewhat real. Like, they actually tortured people like that.
Oh yeah, they disemboweled him and quartered him and hunt him up all over England.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's stretched like Gumby, dude. And he took his opportunity to just yell a little bit more. Like, ugh. And the music, I just can't get enough. All that together just tugs at a man's heartstrings.
yeah, I will say that the music in that first major battle, and I always forget where it's actually at, but the one where he's got to convince him to stay, and like as the cavalry's coming in from the English cavalry's coming in, and it's got that like really quiet, really calm Scottish like lilt music to it, and then that there's like this jolting ding 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 ding, like really syncopated it sounds like a marimba, but anyway, like you get this really cool high pitch like ooh tinny sound, and then it goes back to the calm and cool collected. It's some of the greatest, seriously, some of the greatest music.
Who wrote this music? Because they kick butt. Like, it's incredible.
I honestly don't remember who wrote the for soundtrack of this movie, but it has some of the you're right.
James Horner.
James Horner. Man,
he's one of the best. I mean, this may be his best ever scored movie. Like, incredible. I'm trying to think of another movie that rivals this. I mean, there's got to be something out there that's pretty good. But, oh man, so good.
I
no
think
one
any
plays the
John
bagpipes
Williams
anymore.
Wow, that way probably not outside of Scotland. But.
Go to the Renaissance Fair, Mattson. They play it all the time.
I know. I need
That's
to
fair.
go. Like, I go for that because it's such a unique instrument. I've seen it. I had a friend in elementary school that played, and I still remember. Like, if I can go back in my mind and be there during, it's just such a in-your-face sound.
I'll give you a band to look up. Look up Tartanic. They perform at Renaissance fairs, but they're straight bagpipes and big drums, and their music is phenomenal. So go check them out. I think they have it all for free too on their Facebook.
I think so.
Oh, I take this back. I just found James Horner also scored one of my other favorite movies of all time that has an incredible soundtrack, Apollo 13.
No take backsies.
Yeah.
Man.
You
Horner,
said
you're a real G, man. You could
1995 was a good year for him.
Space and Scotland come together. Yes, it was a very good year for that man.
Yeah. No, yeah, we were watching it last night, and I was telling Casey, I was like, I forget how good the music is until I watch this movie, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. And then I end up listening to the score for like weeks at a time because it's just so damn good.
I want to talk about my favorite scene in this movie. I just need our listeners to know this scene. Every time I feel for the man. So I'll just be straight up with the listeners. We had to watch a lot of Stranger Things, and I'm going on a vacation, so I actually didn't get to watch all of this movie, and I didn't get to. I'm watching my favorite scene right after this while I do some housework, but before I leave. But it's towards the end when they're culminating that final battle where William Wallace is trying to get all the nobles to come and fight because if they had enough of the manpower to overcome. But long story short, the nobles don't show up once they concoct that plan and kind of trick the English army. And so Wallace gets angry, gets on his horse, and starts to go after some of the nobles on the English side. And he catches up to this individual that the whole time has been wearing a jousting helmet, and ultimately throws him off the horse. And the helmet comes off, and you just see it on Wallace's face. And say what you want about Mel Gibson, but in that scene, you could just see the shock, the despair, the life sucked right out of him. All the energy he'd been put into the Scottish countryside and the people to get them riled up to say, let's take our country back. Right then and there, you saw it was gone. He was just like, I did all this. And the one person I thought was with me and not against me was against me. And you just feel that. And then the Bruce takes that into the just talking to his father in that room, in the dark room. He's been cooped up because I think he's a leper or something of that sort. It looks like he is. And just the despair on the Bruce's face as he's telling his father that he wants to be loved, that his hate will die with him, and he closes that door. Those two back-to-back scenes, man, honestly, I don't know if I can think of some better acted and scenes in cinematography for me. Like, the emotions that I feel during that, every time I still watch it, lands the exact same. That delivery is incredible.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I love there's a handful of scenes in this movie that are just extremely, like when Murrin gets killed and he comes riding back into the little village and he's just calm and collected and then just goes ham. And when he's dragging that freaking magistrate down the mountain and he like throws him up against the wall and he doesn't even say anything, he just slices his throat and walks away. Like that to me is exactly the way someone like him would do it. You know, he's smart enough and intelligent enough that he's just like, you're done. I don't care. And he just doesn't care anymore at that moment. And he's not thinking about Scotland. He's not thinking about freedom. He's just thinking, you're dead. And I will kill everyone to get to you. And it just, that moment, I really, really like that. But I also like when he goes after Lachlan and Mornay. Oh my God. Like when he rides into that dude's bed and hits him in the face with that flail, like just, that shit gave me nightmares when I was a kid.
That's a bad way to go.
Oh yeah. It's I'm out. In your own bed and your face gets crushed by a giant iron ball. I'm out. That's not okay. And then I love that Lachlan just falls out of the rafters while they're eating dinner. Like that shit was great too. Like, yeah, he's a boss. It's a great movie when it comes to that kind of, like, the impactful scenes of this movie are pretty major. I will say that they hated horses in this movie. Jesus. Like the amount of horses that get wrecked in this movie.
There's quite a few.
One of the most impressive things about this movie, and I don't know if you guys knew this or remember this, but all of the major battles were practical effects. And like they went and got all these people and they charged the battlefield and they were actually swinging it and they put like blood packs and like they choreographed this in the mayhem that would have had to have been. And I'm sure as a producer or something, like Mel Gibson's like, yeah, we're going to do this, this, and this. And they're going, fuck me. Like, what the hell? Because the amount of money that it would have cost at that time. And I mean, it's just unheard of, but it certainly made for great battle scenes.
Think about how many movies we see now that they have like the main couple of characters that are amongst the battle. And then you can tell it's clearly CGI, or they do like overarching shots and people moving, it's CGI. It's funny how technology at times doesn't always deliver. You can't beat the real thing, and that's why it still looks so good today. It's because of what you just described, JJ.
Yeah,
I think the best part about that though is that it was also a little bit of a happy accident, because most of this film was shot in Ireland, and so they used like the Irish Army Reserves, who like have a second job as being movie extras, because they're pretty much used in every movie. But all their different kind of companies they used were all rivals. So when they said, okay, you're going to charge them and just beat the shit out of them, they're like, absolutely, thank you very much. And so a lot of the action was even more than what they were expecting to happen, because these guys were just having fun wailing on each other.
I do laugh because if you like, once you've seen it and you're not paying attention to all the center stage action, there's a couple of moments where things slow down and you can see in the background guys just fucking around, like barely swinging a sword and like dicking around. And it makes me laugh to see all that shit, but there's no way to control that many people on it. But yeah, and they got to make it look like it. So I laughed. Like there was one I saw this time for the first time watching it, and I was just like, oh my God, look at these guys just fucking around back there. It's so funny.
Well,
so I did enjoy
that moment. How cool would that be to be like, it's me?
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. Steven is my favorite character in this movie. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Like his introduction is one of the greatest back and forth interactions ever. Like,
yes, father.
Nothing makes me laugh harder than when he's like, to find an equal, an Irishman must converse with the Almighty. It's just like, or is forced to talk to God or whatever it is. And then when he finally is like, the Almighty says, just answer, don't change. Yeah. Answer the fucking question or whatever it is. Don't change the subject. Just answer the fucking question. I love it. Like, and every scene with him after that is like, the Almighty says he can get me. He's pretty sure he can get me through this, but you're fucked. Like, Loved every moment with that man on the screen. It's good stuff. I love it. Yeah, Steven's my favorite.
Oh, he's awesome. I love his interactions with Hamish
Oh yeah.
because they're just like, I mean, you have Brendan Gleeson and James Cosmo, who are like the two manliest men to ever man.
Yeah.
And they look the part, right? And then you've got David O'Hara, who comes in a little bit smaller, but just as give and take. And it's almost funny to watch him dance circles around these guys,
Oh yeah.
in the dialogue and in the scenes. And he's always there, but he's always just like, yeah, fuck it, here we go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, and he's like, there's one point where, like, right after the big main speech, like, he's got to make some joke. He's like, nice speech. Now what?
Yeah.
It's so good. And then he's like, you just be yourselves. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna go pick a fight.
Oh, he didn't get dressed up for nothing.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. Yeah, Steven, I look forward to him being in the movie every time he's in there. And then he immediately follows up with saving the dude's life.
Yeah.
In that weird hunting scene. But I really enjoy his character and how it plays, and it gives that lighthearted but serious too, because I'll tell you, at the end during the torture scene, like watching him and Hamish, like watching the whole thing, like, man, they did a great job of like the serious stuff too. So yeah, I just really enjoy it. It's a great movie, no question about it. And the acting's really good if you can get past Mel Gibson's accent.
Yep. Yeah, the only parts of this movie, since it is so long, that I find myself wishing is like some of the scenes with the Queen and things of that nature. I think they could have shortened it up a little bit, and like if I was looking for areas to kind of nitpick. But overall, I mean, this is it's definitely in my top 10 for sure, if not my top 7, maybe top 5.
Who has a top 7?
I'm trying to narrow it down. Such a good movie. It's just at times I wish it was a little bit shorter, because some of my all-time favorite is like The Dark Knight, Braveheart. They're just long movies, and you definitely have to plan to sit down, because this is a movie, again, like I've said about The Dark Knight, if you want to appreciate this movie, you've got to give what this movie asks of you, your time, to be emotionally invested, to be present. So it can really have that impact when you get to the end of those scenes with Wallace and understand what that really meant, the culmination of what he gave to his people, and that he didn't give up even at the end. That inspired Scotland to kind of rise up and take back its country to an extent. And just from the one-liners to the music to the action scenes to the character development, just phenomenal.
Yeah. I'm with you. And I think, like, look, back in the 90s, they had to have a love story of some sort, because that was just their thing. But I hate it. And for multiple reasons. One, it's unnecessary. To me, it detracts as well. Like his whole thing with Queen Isabella, or Princess Isabella at the time. One, I don't even know if she was born when William Wallace was alive. And so that part bothers me, because I'm like, this is silly. And two, her son was definitely not born of William Wallace. So there's a lot of like outlandish shit that happens because of that story. But more importantly to me is it diminishes the whole point of what starts this thing for William Wallace in the movie. And that is the death of Murrin. I'm like, look, I get that she reminds you of her or whatever it is, and it's going to trigger, but I would rather it just be what it really is. And this man triggered a revolution based on the fact that the English just pushed him too far. He was trying to be a peaceful dude, and he got pushed too far, and let it be. You could have cut the entire Princess Isabella shit. The only part of that I like is when she taunts King Edward Longshanks at the very end. That's the only part of that for me has payoff.
Yeah.
But the rest of it didn't add any value.
That's a great FU moment. I'll say that.
Oh, for sure. And watching him not be able to talk, and he's just hacking up his lungs because of the consumption. But it just, I feel like they just took those liberties to add that love story, and I realized at the time that was important, but it adds like a lot to the movie that just didn't need to be there. I think you could add a 2.5-hour movie if you cut a lot of that stuff. So
wait, on us, if they had cut a lot of that, like I won't give this movie a 5. It's mainly because of that, because it detracts and it makes it slow. If this movie existed without that, this movie would absolutely be a 5 for me.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's a great movie, and I can't overlook that, because most movies that are based on historical events and places and people have some inaccuracies to it. Like we've talked about a lot of movies that are based on historical, but this one is really bad. Like it's
as bad. Remember the Titans? It's so hard for me to love that movie so much because it's so they towards the end it gets so untruthful and to the point where I'm like, you didn't have to do that, and they do that in this movie too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and to be honest, like William Wallace gets a lot of credit for being like a revolutionary, but to be honest, at the beginning, he was just kind of a thug. Like he was a bandit that used to like rob British caravans for money. Like it wasn't about the freedom of Scotland. That didn't come until later, and then he got dragged into it because he was a very large human being and a great fighter, but it had nothing to do with actually, at first at least, giving a shit about the freedom of Scotland. He just kind of became a knight because it was a way for the nobles to control him and then have him lead part of their revolution. And really all he did was just sack a bunch of caravans and things like that, and he was part of the battles, but it was mostly because he liked to fight.
Yeah, I think the only accurate thing in this movie is that he sacked York.
Yeah.
That's the only actually accurate thing.
Yeah,
but for me, like, this movie was never about that. I know most of the time when Hollywood says based on a true story or inspired by true events, I'm like, okay, then there's maybe 5 or 10% truth, but a movie like Remember the Titans, even more so, they lean into the truthful nature of it, and that they really get some convoluted things at the end. And honestly, when I was littler, I didn't know if this was really true or not. And the older I got, I was like, oh, they pulled more from this, but it stand alone, even if you didn't think about that, pretty incredible.
Oh, for sure. And technically, the killing of the magistrate, that actually happened. It just had nothing to do with a woman. He just did it for the sake of doing it because the guy pissed him off. So there was sprinkled with some truth. And again, I wouldn't change it. It's still an entertaining movie. It's very interesting. I will say, just to kind of give, so they brought back, I don't know if you guys know this, and I don't remember where it's at, but there was a TV show that they did that they brought back Angus McFadden as Robert the Bruce for a show based on a more historical, accurate telling of Robert the Bruce.
The Outlaw King?
Probably. It might be. I don't remember what it was called, to be honest with you. I stumbled upon it, and I still need to watch it. No, it's just called Robert the Bruce. It's a movie called Robert the Bruce. I thought it was a show. Maybe there is a show about him as well, but yeah, no, they brought him back for one called Robert the Bruce, King of Scots. So
interesting.
Yeah, and Angus McFadden wrote it. I guess after playing him, like Angus McFadden kind of became obsessed with what it was and the story of Robert the Bruce. So he wrote it as well.
Very cool.
So I'm looking forward to checking that out. But yeah, great movie. I love it. I was excited to watch it because I haven't watched it in years. So it was kind of fun to break it out and do it. But I think that's the reason it's so good is the moments and the scenes that are really, the war's cool, the battles are great, they're fun to look at, things like that. But it's the emotional moments in this movie that really make it for me. Because there's some scenes, like especially like every time that Wallace is pleading with Robert the Bruce to unite him and to lead him and do those things, and watching his that battle he's having with himself between his father and wanting to do the right thing and to be a patriot, but still wanting to, balance between being a noble and being a Scot. Like, it's some of those moments are the best moments to me in this movie and really add the value and make the length of it worth it. So kudos to the writer and how the director. Well, Mel Gibson's a great director. We've known that for a while, even though he's a little nuts, but yeah, great movie. Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts on my pick for the common folk. Let's just be straight. If you have not seen this movie, it's going to require a little bit of your time, but William Wallace requires that time. If you want to get inspired to go do your chores today, go to work next week after a long 4th of July, there is no better man to lead you into victory than Wallace himself. If you want to understand the emotions behind getting a country on your back, this man will take you there. Watch this movie, appreciate the music, appreciate the practical effects, the battles, the acting, all of it. Phenomenal movie. I don't know when I'll watch this movie again because it is an investment, but I watch this movie at least once or twice a year, and every time is a good time.
Love it. Alec, final thoughts from you?
I'm gonna shit on Mattson's parade just a teensy little bit. I like this movie, but it's such a, like, I always view this as a Scottish propaganda piece, and that's how I get away with some of those inconsistencies that we talked about with, like, this the new King of England is an illegitimate child from Scotland's greatest hero type of a thing, because like even Bannockburn, the final battle, like that won them their independence for about a year, and then you had Culloden, and they went right back under English control. But I think I mentioned this before on podcasts. I like sequences of events, so this is a very focused. This is Scotland and England, but if you look at the brighter or the bigger picture, you can see the things that led up to this. So the whole Scottish Revolution wouldn't have got off the ground if England wasn't occupied with crusades. And then at the same exact time, the Catholic Church had decided that they didn't like the Templar Knights anymore. And so you had this big issue with France rounding up Templar Knights and just killing them and trying them for heresy. So that's why you don't have the French coming up to help out. And so it's a real kind of cool thing where if you zoom back out, you can see that this revolution was more of just a happy circumstance, which is what a lot of revolutions are. Is the opportunity comes up and it's like, okay, it's go time. So I really enjoy it, but I like looking at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is it was just opportunistic. For the Scots, and didn't really win them anything.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's the other thing they don't talk about when he sacks York, is that York was spread so thin there was like hardly any soldiers there when they sacked it. So it wasn't even like, they make it seem like it's some big deal in the movie, but in reality, mostly it was just old men, women, and children that were in York when they did it. There was I think there might have been a garrison there at the best that they went up against. But it's a good point.
And the Irish fought. Well, the Irish fought with the English, Mattson.
If you're gonna go base your historical guidance off of movies, you are ill-advised, sir. Read a textbook. Use the internet in proper ways. This is just meant to be an entertaining movie about a man helping a country get back on its feet. With shades,
I can see why he really likes the Patriot,
truth.
JJ.
I know, right?
The Patriot. I love revolutionary history. I have to throw all that out the window.
But it's all wrong.
It's so wrong.
Here's the problem, though, Mattson. You have people who actually believe this is what happened when they watch the movies.
Yeah, and those common folk out there, I can't help you. But in The Patriot, I just love seeing a father fight an Englishman that has no morals and a man steal another man's dogs.
Oh, God, it's so
you got to
bad.
suspend all that. But if you're going into it for historical reference and this is marketed as a movie that's supposed to be truthful, then you're right. crap on this movie, but neither movie, and Braveheart especially, never claimed to be a movie that was going to be historically accurate to an extent in that regard. Just watch the movie and be entertained.
That's why I said it's a propaganda piece. I like it, but it's a total propaganda piece.
Let me pull a page out of Russell Crowe in The Gladiator. Are you not entertained?
Oh, shit.
Also, another very good movie that is probably horribly historically
wildly inaccurate.
But is it a great movie? Damn straight.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure, did Commodus actually follow Aurelius? I know Commodus was an emperor, and I'm pretty sure he was the last emperor of the empire.
Talk about another movie. Another
emperor
movie that we need to review with one of the best acted villains in cinema, Joaquin Phoenix, with that. Holy cow. We'll talk about that another day.
Yeah.
But
all right. Well, I love Braveheart, and I will poo-poo on it just to Mattson got me going because assumed I was going to dislike this movie, and then I realized how much he absolutely adores it, so I had to push some buttons. But it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, I used to watch it constantly, and I still listen to the music quite often. It pops up on my feed when I'm working. I listen to a lot of classical music and a lot of soundtracks and scores when I'm working because it keeps me focused. But this one pops up all the time because it's some of the greatest music ever. Yeah, there's some weird historical things, and it's a little long, but overall it's very entertaining, very fun movie. I love it. So yeah, it's a great call, Mattson. Good choice to bring it back.
Let me lead us in our rating.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you already heard I'm not giving it a 5, but you already know what I'm going to give it. 4.5. Come on. I've already said why. It's some of the things literally JJ just said. It's long. I'm not knocking for the historical inaccuracies. It's just that love story. If you could remake this movie today and do everything but kind of subtract that, this movie would be a perfect 5 for me. Incredibly acted. Some of the best movie score. It's up there with the best of the best of the best. The scenery, the cinematography, all of it top notch from start to finish. Love this movie. This is a movie for me that it tugs on my heartstrings. That scene that I described, like I feel it every single time. And for a movie to be able to do that through the years, to me, it's just the markings of it's well acted, well scripted, and just something to be beholden. Really enjoy it.
Definitely. I'm going to give it a 4. I really enjoy it. I think it's great. I have to shit on a little bit because it makes my ancestor look like a putz when he was an actual freaking country hero. Like, the man's was a badass. But overall, look, I'm with you, Mattson. It really, there are some seriously emotional moments, and you can't help but feel excited, and you get some adrenaline when they're screaming and running across the battlefield, and then you get the emotions when Murren dies and when there's the fights and those betrayals, and it's crazy. Well written, well acted, wildly inaccurate, but an awesomely fun movie. That's just a little long and really played into the 90s tropes that needed to be done in order for a movie to be successful. So I can't really blame it too much for that, but it is unnecessary, especially when you watch it in 2022. You go, good Lord, there was a lot of things that just didn't need to be there. But overall, fantastic movie. Alec, what's your rating?
3.5.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's aggressive. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I really like this movie, but there's a few things that, just kind of ruin it for me. And one of the biggest ones is I think this has the greatest ending of pretty much any movie ever. You get this big emotional moment, Brendan Gleeson throws William Wallace's sword, and then you see him charging across the field with his rubber battle axe.
That's fair. That's fair.
This is a man who looks like he was born holding a battle axe. Hit him something that does not jiggle. Get him something that folds. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. That's funny. I forgot about that.
It's like you have this great, beautiful ending. and then he's just charging across the field
with a rubber axe.
With a rubber axe. Like,
that's funny.
And so there's little moments like that throughout the movie, but I still enjoy it, and I still love sitting down and watching it. I love the bagpipes, and I mean the kind of the trio of James Cosmo, Brendan Gleeson, and Brian Cox, because they make movies that they're in even separately way better. But there's a couple where all three of them are in the same movie. I think this is one. I think Troy's another one where they're all in the same movie, and they're just incredible. So I want more of them. Where have they been the last couple of years? Besides getting old.
I was just say they're old.
Bring them back.
Cosmo. Is James Cosmo even alive still?
Probably not. He was like 60 when they filmed this.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's old.
74.
Is he?
74. Yeah, he old. But
he's still good. He's still alive though.
Yeah, put him in a movie. So
he was in Game of Thrones too. Like he was one of my favorite.
They all three were in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know that Brendan Gleeson was, but the other two for sure were.
Wasn't he one of the Small Johns or one of the Umbers?
He might have been. It's possible. I'd have to go back and look, but I do know for sure James Cosmo. I mean, he played a big part. So because he was the head of the Night's Watch. So. All right. Well, great movie. Great choice, Mattson. Tell everybody where they can find us.
Man, I really just want to refute a lot of what Alec just said right there. But we don't have time to do that. Like, I don't know why you're going to give a movie a 3.5 for someone holding a rubber battle axe, because the movie was awesome when someone who likes black and white movies with people that don't do anything except over talk on screen, aka Malcolm.
Oh my gosh.
Like, at least this movie is visually appealing and exciting and makes you feel emotions, where Maltese Falcon, you're like, are we done yet? And that movie's way shorter and much more boring. So, case rested. If you want to see me get roasted based off that opinion right there, check us out on TikTok, our other social media channels as well. Come listen to us at whatsourverdict.com to see what we have upcoming. Check us out on Spotify, Apple, Ghana. We're all there. So come search for us, find us, listen. We got tons of TV shows upcoming. Excited for Thor, Love and Thunder, Bullet Train. Got Miss Marvel going. We're about to release the last part of Stranger Things and The Boys. Starting Terminal, the Terminal list that's coming out. Just came out on Amazon Prime. Lots of things happening. And if you want to make fun of Alec, please do.
Definitely. Lots of opportunities for fun stuff from across the board. I feel like I'm going to get a break from TikTok for about a week. So I appreciate you, Mattson, in this review, because my roastings might get a pause for a while. So there it is.
Falcon. And if you know what, chime back in and tell us to never review a black and white movie again, because I know you all hated it because none of you listened to it. So let us know.
Man.
By that same logic, we should never review anything made like 2020 or in color for She Dies Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hey, I fully own She Dies Tomorrow. You can make fun of me for that all I want. That was a poor decision. I was sick in the head. But you will continue to recommend black and white movies, and
I will. And here is why. Do you like The Goonies, Mattson?
I like it. It's okay.
Yeah. Sloth loves black and white Errol Flynn movies. So Are you saying that you disagree with Sloth from The Goonies?
Absolutely.
Oh, jeez. Unbelievable.
Baby Ruth?
Hey, you guys.
Oh, God. I'm going to have to add that one to the list because I love Goonies. All right.
Great.
Well, there it is. Go
I'm not
check
done
us
yet,
out.
JJ. Like, let's just... Listeners, I mean, you're recommending some stuff I'm not super excited about. Charles, we're talking to you. But I swear, if you recommend, just to spite me, a black and white movie, make it one that at least is like Dick Tracy or something, please.
That's black and white by choice, not because it was that old.
Exactly.
It was like a 1990s movie. Like, oh, God. Oh, man. That's funny, man. Yeah, better not let Casey listen to this episode or we'll get all sorts of recommendations.
Casey doesn't count, JJ.
She loves loves the old school movies too.
Because they're good.
Yeah, careful or we'll end up watching Gone with the Wind. You think it's bad when it's an hour and a
Yeah.
half long. Wait till it's a 3-hour long
Jeez,
black and
no,
white
thank
movie.
you. Oshi, if you listen to this, rein Alec in, please.
She doesn't like black and white movies. I make her watch them anyway.
Or Hobbs. Hobbs, I can see you back
Hobbs
there.
loves black and white
You're
movies.
shaking
You
your
kidding
head.
me?
And he's been questioning if he's been able to see color all of his life, but because of the movies he watches with you, he's unsure. He's freaking off his rocker back there. Poor guy. Jeez.
It's funny. At least he acknowledges he's a real person at this point.
Yeah.
All right, I'm reining you two in. Let's get the fuck out of here. With that, as always, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
Boy.
Cinemagic out.
Whoa!